Thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. Tonight I have a man whose task is even becoming more complicated. He is the majority leader for Parliament. But here's the thing. I call him majority leader today. But in 3 weeks' time, I wonder what I'll call him. That is if he still holds his position. Because will he still be majority? Will we even have a majority and a minority? These are things that we all have to come to terms with. I wonder if he has, after this very unique election outcome that we've seen in the last few weeks since the December 7 was over. He is Honorable Chei Mensah Bonsu, who you've seen on PM Express before. We had a conversation right after the party's primaries. We are back here again after the main elections. Thank you very much for joining us again, Mr. Chei Mensah Bonsu.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing after the elections?
Well, exhaustion, quite dehydrated. Thanks in the main to the gruesome campaigns that I embarked on, and we had to plunge into serious business after the event. So you see, Parliament is in full flight. We intend to adjourn for the Christmas festivities, and we'll hopefully be back on the 4th, perhaps to take us to the 6th of January, because there are other businesses to do, including in particular the President's final message on the State of the Nation for this term, his first term, and of course we may have to also relate to what business Parliament was able to achieve in the 7th Parliament. Perhaps that will be on the 6th of January. Then Parliament will stand adjourned midnight 6th for a new one to be ushered in subsequent to that. So that's where we are. Okay.
Personally, you won another victory. You're going to have another 4-year term. That puts you at what, 8, 9 term?
No, no.
How many terms would that be?
By exaggerating my strength. I'm completing my 6th term.
Okay, so this will be your 7th.
This time around, and I'll be ushered into the 7th Parliament, the 8th Parliament. That would be my 7th term.
Yeah, no surprise there that you won, but I guess we can't say the same for the party. This has been the most disastrous showing for the party in Parliament. I mean, since what? Let's forget about 1992, since 1996. True?
Well, in terms of the numbers, certainly not the best, we must admit. If I must be blunt, quite poor showing. So many factors contributing to our rather abysmal performance. The party, as I indicated, has established a committee to probe into the whys. I believe strategically they've left out parliamentary candidates. I thought initially that they would require to have parliamentary candidates on it, and also the party executives to be on it. But I think in the considered opinion of the National Executive Committee, they felt because our own activities are going to come under scrutiny, it would be better if the parliamentary candidates were left out. Equally so have they also left out the 7 executive committee members, including also the campaign manager. So we have a former majority leader in the person of Papa Owusu Ankomah being part of the committee. We also have Mr. Fred Owari, a former first vice national chairman, to be part of it. And then we have some veterans like Elizabeth Ohene.
So, but what happened? Why this poor showing?
Well, as I said, a combination of factors. In my considered opinion, I related to this when I had this first interview, post primaries to you. And I said the lateness of the holding of the primaries was going to hurt us. I raised this matter. The members of parliament at our own caucus took a decision that it should happen during the long recess of last year, 2020. And last year, remember, Parliament adjourned, I think, first week of August or so. And then we had the rest of August, September, October. And requested that the primary should hold at the time. Unfortunately, the National Executive Committee decided against it on the grounds that government was going to prepare its final budget for 2020, and if people lost, it would be difficult for the party to rally them to salvage the cause of the party in Parliament. The rest of us disagreed, but that was the decision of the party. We are all part of it. So if the majority decides and you believe in democracy, you are bound by what the majority imposes. So that's what happened.
The outcome is a disastrous one.
Sometimes,
with far-reaching consequences, not only for your party, but for democracy.
Well,
we'll come to that. We'll come to democracy because it's a whole different conversation.
That is it.
But what about also the belief that maybe the Ghanaians punished you at the parliamentary level because the people you elected at the primaries didn't reflect the general will of the people? That the small people within the small minority of people, delegates, went to elect people who definitely didn't reflect what the majority view is when you go to the general elections.
Well, I have my own personal opinion about this. In terms of the polling station arrangement that we have. It was an idea that was mooted by Dr. Kwame Safodu. I remember those days. And the issue was to have that structure to confront the veranda boys and girls that were being formed by the PNDC under the auspices of Dr. Obed Asamoah. You know, in the lead up to the formation of parties, he was all over, forming veranda boys and girls. And we thought the way to counter it was to also go down there, the grassroots level, and have the party ably represented there. Now, the national constitution provides that the party must be marketing itself at that level. You know, who better do that for us? It's the structure at the base level, the polling station executives. They have to embark on house-to-house exercise to win converts, new souls for the party. And it's the reason why the party's own constitution, the NPP's own constitution, provides that every 6 months, half yearly, the membership of the party at that base level should be updated by who? By the polling station executives. I can bet that even though that is the most important assignment for the polling station executives at that level, none of them do that.
So then you're expanding the base of people who could be making decisions for the party in primary.
None of them do that. 4 years, they will not even be having meetings. If you have, as of yet, I have about 214 polling stations in my constituency. You'll be fortunate to have maybe about 10 of them, polling station executives, meeting regularly. I wouldn't say regularly, meeting at all. Sometimes maybe once every 3 months or so. Those of them who try. The rest of them, they don't do it. About 95, 96, 98% of them don't have meetings at all, except when we're approaching the elections. Even that, they come together to install new candidates for the party, right? When they leave, when they finish with that process, almost all of them abandon the party. So in the formation of electioneering campaign committees, every one of us had to form our own electioneering campaign committee outside the main party structure. So in that regard, what are they doing? What value addition are they giving to the party? So I have always insisted that we have to interrogate this. And my firm belief is that we should expand the membership further downstream. And when it comes to making this determination,
of who?
That is
at the primary
the
level.
Parliamentary candidate, every card-bearing member should be allowed to express his or her opinion on that.
In other words, scrap the delegate system.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mr. you have 137 seats in Parliament. The NDC has 137 as well. There's one independent candidate. You don't have a majority anymore. They don't have a minority anymore. Both of you have equal stakes there. What does that mean for the next Parliament?
Well, I've heard people talk about the fact that there is a hung Parliament.
Isn't it?
There's no hung Parliament.
Is there a hung Parliament?
There's,
it is a hung
no
Parliament.
hung Parliament. What's a hung Parliament?
A hung Parliament where no side have a majority.
One side has a majority.
Your side?
Yes.
Where is that majority?
Look, our rules provide for just two caucuses, majority and minority.
Yes. But
Yes.
you don't have that.
I'm saying there are just two caucuses, two sides in Ghana's parliament, majority side, minority side. Elsewhere, they have what they call recognized minority. If you attain a certain number, minority party attains a certain number, right? Then they will be accorded recognition as recognized minority. You remember when Samia Nkrumah came to parliament? She didn't want to sit with either side of the divide. She said she wanted to be recognized in her own right. And we told her that whereas you may not vote alongside any of the political parties, right? You keep your neutrality, so to speak. But you certainly belong to one side or the other of the house. Because that is what our rules provide.
Only recognizes, okay.
The rules recognize the minority, for instance, to include all parties, not who are in minority. That is all parties outside the party with the majority of seats in parliament, right? You may decide, you may elect to transact business with one side or the other. And when you decide that way, for purposes of conducting business, you have not really crossed carpet, but for purposes of conducting business, you would associate with one side of the party.
But what numbers give you the majority? You have 137.
I'm saying that we are
137. Counting Formina
if
MP?
he elects, I'm saying there can be a hung parliament. If the Formina MP comes and he elects to do business with NDC, the NDC, the pendulum will swing to the NDC. If he elects to do business with the MPP, the pendulum will swing to the MPP. And in that case, when we are forming committees, you include that person in your own committee.
But we can't, but technically, I mean, he can only do business with you.
Yes.
As and when there's business to be done. But
beyond that.
But we cannot describe the MPP as a majority.
Beyond that, because I'm telling you that because of this reality, when it comes to forming committees, that person decides which side he wants to be. Once he decides, then you factor him into your own committee, your own caucus. So he becomes part of your caucus, and then by that, when you are forming committees, you include him on account of your own caucus numbers. So he must necessarily belong to one side of the divide or the other. And once he does so, the pendulum will swing to that.
But there's a technicality here.
Which is?
All the previous examples you cited, Samia Nkrumah, then you also have Freddie Blay.
Yes.
They came to parliament on the ticket of a political party. So they were representing a political party.
Yes.
But in the constitution,
yes,
it makes a separate clause for independents.
Yes.
That when the independent joins any political party,
yes,
he vacates his seat.
He has not joined the political party. It's just for the purpose of transacting business in the house. So when the current First Deputy Speaker came to Parliament, right, and he joined us, he elected to do business with MPP. So we factored him into our caucus arrangements.
But that's the point I made. He came on the political party's ticket.
No, he came first as an independent member.
You mean Freddie Blay?
No, I'm talking about
Joe
Osei.
Pardon me, yes. Yes.
And when we first came, in 19...
But that was under different circumstances.
No, I'm just saying.
What's it?
Philip Beho,
yes,
he unseated Captain Zou as a member for Anglo. He came on a ticket of an independent member. He entered Parliament and decided to do business with the NDC. So he was with them, always. It
But-
was just for the purpose of transacting business. He had not crossed carpets.
I mean, my point is, in this case, Hestus swings the balance. He swings the balance.
Why?
In those previous cases, their addition didn't add anything to
Oh,
the
well.
nomenclature of majority or minority. In
Why-
this case,
why ma- that's-
it does.
That's a distinction without difference.
It is fundamental.
It is a
Because
distinction
once you
without,
become
if you concede that when he joins the party, regardless of whether it was a critical movement or not, it swells a number, and he's factored into the caucus's numbers for purposes of allocating seats on committees and so on. And we'll say that, oh, because it's 137, the rules of engagement should change. I'm telling you, it's a distinction without difference.
Well, I just finished talking to your friend, Muntaka Mawara, Chief Whip,
Yes.
and he's insisting that what you're suggesting is not what the Constitution says, and that your standing order is not superior to the Constitution.
What does the Constitution say?
That he can do business, yes,
Yes.
but in strict definition of majority and minority.
What is the precedence? Did Beho do business with them? Did
Yeah.
they factor him into?
No, but
was he counted among their numbers?
But his point is, yes, they did, but
So-
it did
so
not.
what has changed?
It did not.
So what has changed?
It didn't. It says his point is,
People
yes,
should
it
be
did
consistent.
business.
People should be consistent.
But in their
you can't
case-
pick and choose.
But you see, the point it makes a bigger one, because once you say you are the majority,
Yes.
it holds the balance of, in terms of who elects the speaker. It sways that. His point is he cannot make that distinction, and that you necessarily must amend your standing orders to reflect this new reality.
I don't know what he's reading. I don't know which kind of standing orders he's reading. Go and read it. It's clear. Otherwise, in fact, it allows for a coalition government. The Constitution itself allows for a coalition government. So, if assuming that, for purpose of this debate, that 275, the NDC maybe has maybe 120, the MPP has 110, right? The rest of the parties come together and say that no, we'll do business with MPP and not NDC. The NDC will still be the minority party.
So you insist that in the next parliament,
No,
the
so
eighth parliament,
it's commonsensical. So if anybody disagrees, I don't see why he should
so
disagree.
you insist that in the 8th parliament, you will still be the majority party in parliament.
I'm not saying so.
But
I'm
that
saying,
is not what your argument is.
I'm saying, for now, the independent candidate has not been sworn in.
Yeah, but he's indicated. I mean,
He's not been sworn in. Now, what he says outside may be different from when he comes
True.
inside what he says. When he's sworn in and elects to join one side or the other, that will close the shop.
Okay.
If
but
anybody
in
decides that he will not agree, the doors of the Supreme Court are
is
there.
So you're saying that those who don't agree can head to the Supreme Court, which has become a term recently, go to court. I mean, but the point you're making is, if that is the case, in the 8th parliament, MPP should still be called the majority party.
Absolutely. We should be called the
You should be maintained
once
to be
if the
majority.
person joins, if he opts for the NDC will be the majority party. If he opts for the MPP,
The terminology will
NDC,
not change.
If he opts for the NDC, that's why I'm saying that I don't want to put too much premium on what he's been saying outside.
True.
Once he's sworn in and he elects to do business with one side or the other, the pendulum will swing to that side.
Becomes the majority.
That side will become the majority.
In this case, let's look at the first major complexity that you have to confront with this balance in Parliament. Speaker.
Yes.
What happens there?
In
On the 6th into the 7th?
The speaker is elected by.
Who puts up forward the name? You or the NDC?
The speaker is elected by members of parliament, right? The other time, Alajite's time, when he was exiting, we had overwhelming majority. We were building a convention where the majority party would submit a name and we would not even debate the candidacy. And then we get the person elected consensually. When Alajite was leaving, we had the numbers. They disagreed. They said they would put up a candidate. Nothing prevents anybody from doing that. They put up a candidate, and we went into voting, and one person won.
So that will happen again?
If we put up a candidate, if the party that the man elects to do business with, which will have the majority, submits a name, and the other side disagrees, they can also put up a name. And then voting will be done for whichever one. And whoever succeeds.
So you're counting on this one vote to win in this first battle.
Both sides are counting. I'm aware that the running mate to the NDC contacted him, and subsequent to that, many people have contested from the NDC. I'm aware of that.
To try and get him
to. Why would they do that?
You said the running mate, that's Jim.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
But how do you know that? Has he told you that himself?
I know what I'm talking about.
That they're trying to woo him to join their side.
So why would they do that if his votes wouldn't count?
Oh, his vote will definitely count.
So why would they want to reach out to him? So everyone was trying to reach out to him. As I said, he's made some statement. I don't want to put too much premium on that. Let him come to Parliament. Once he comes, he makes his own man. He makes his own determination. In fact, even within our own party, right, you could have situations where, because I remember that Alajeti's time when we were voting between him and Bejina Sechi Hughes, one person decided to not to vote. So there was a spoiled ballot.
True.
Right? So you can't force people to do what they don't.
Have you spoken to him yourself since the outcome of the elections?
Well, before, in fact, in the lead up to what happened, he came to me. That is before this matter degenerated into, which led to the party submitting a petition to the Speaker.
Which you endorsed?
On account of which...
Did you endorse that?
On account of which the Speaker gave a directive.
No, did you endorse that?
We didn't have to vote in the House.
Well, the Speaker...
gave a directive.
You did, but as
the
a majority leader, did you endorse that?
The Speaker gave a directive.
He did, but did you endorse it?
And nobody opposed it.
You didn't.
So none of us.
You implicitly supported his removal from Parliament.
Which member of Parliament from either side confronted the Speaker on that?
But the man was in your camp, and you didn't stand up for him.
Well, I'm saying.
Have you eaten
I'm a Democrat.
Pie?
I'm a Democrat.
Would you concede that?
I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. I have taken a position, right? Speaking for myself, I've taken a position that the party couldn't push him out. But then you must know that in a democracy, in a democratic party, you can't get it right all the time. I'm saying you don't expect your opinion to carry the day every time, right? And I was relating to a similar incident which happened in 1993. The NDC, in the case involving this man who became our ambassador to Angola, Moses Bukari Mabingba, Moses Mabingba, right? A Konkoma on the ticket of NDC representing Saboba. He was in Parliament. In the Konkomba Nanumba, I don't know whether to call it war or friction, right? A statement was made on the floor of the House by the then Chief Whip for the NDC, Alhaji B.A. Hussaini. And Moses didn't take kindly to it. So he responded by saying to him that if they said they wanted to push the Konkombas out, he was also telling them that nobody brought land coming from wherever to Ghana, and that the land is for all of us. And if they are determined if the Gombas are determined to push them out, the Konkombas, were, or should I say, are like Israelis. If you kill one, we'll kill 100. And I thought it was the House did not take kindly to it at the time, and they threatened to expel him. They were about going to the Supreme Court on that to get him expelled. Obed, the Attorney General, advised against it. I don't know, to the extent that he had not done so voluntarily. You cannot say that you are expelling him from Parliament. So on account of what happened at the time, I said, I didn't think that the party could do that. But this is a party of intellectuals. They met, and I think the consensus that ensued was that the party could do that, upon which account the General Secretary wrote to the Speaker. The Speaker did not take it to the House to make a decision.
You must have been consulted.
But the Speaker came
and
read a statement.
No, but you must have been consulted, Mr. Chambers Amos. It's not possible that the Speaker took that decision without consulting you.
The Speaker gave a directive.
You were consulted.
And I was bound by the directive.
No, but you were consulted, Mr.
I don't want us to litigate this matter because it's a yesterday matter.
but as you said, to make progress in this exciting new parliament, we all must confront our demons.
Yes.
That must have been one of yours.
The party itself was eating humble pie.
No, but I'm asking
you. And I belong to the party.
Have you eaten? You must eat humble pie
I'm
privately and publicly.
The party has eaten humble pie.
Have you eaten yours?
I'm part of the party.
So I'm asking you as a person.
If the party has eaten humble pie, by extension of reasoning, it comes to me.
You have eaten humble pie too. In your conversation with him, and this may possibly on the light, but it's a serious one. Have you admitted that, listen, we misjudged this? You're a human being, so you make mistakes. Have you admitted this to him?
The matter of the expulsion, you mean?
Yes, expulsion, yes.
Yes,
the way he was treated.
Why? I think that the position of the party is that no.
You keep going to the party, but you
represent
the party and government in
let's
parliament.
trace our steps back, and so that
James,
is it.
I know you to be a very humble person. You don't mind at all conceding. Why are you hiding under the cloak of the party when this is you?
I'm a member of the party. I'm a member of the party. The decision was not my decision, but I was bound by that. So if the party now has taken a decision to unwind, it affects me.
So you communicated this to him? You met him?
Why wouldn't I?
You said, I'm sorry.
That the party is sorry, and I'm part of the party, so I'm also sorry.
Now that you know your opponents are trying to poach him, obviously, he's possibly become the most important person in this country. Not even the president wields the power that he wields. So this whole new parliament then, now that we've settled this, so you believe that he said publicly, I know conversations are still being had, we know how politics is played, he will make demands. Or you make him office. I mean, nobody can deny that will happen. NDC possibly making him office, but what offers they're making, I don't know, because they are not in government. But you have the advantage here. Chances are he will sit with you. So he said it publicly, he'll keep his word. On the 6th into the 7th, names have already popped up in terms of who you're, and I know definitely that names have come up already. I mean, the NPP is a very astute political party, I know, but now your next major decision is that Jones Dutche has come up. True?
I've heard.
Oh, so he had come up in your meetings in considering who
in our meetings, where? Which meetings are you talking about?
Oh, the meetings considering who to put forward.
It doesn't lie in the mouth of this parliament or this caucus.
I'm talking about you and your party.
I'm saying it doesn't lie in the mouth of this current parliament, which I lead, to make that determination.
I understand that. I read the constitution.
The next parliament, it is that will make the choice.
I'm sorry.
So if we have to do that, it will have to be in the company of the others, that is the MPs elect. For now,
I know you're being politically correct.
For now, I'm telling you that there's not been an assembly. There's not been an assembly of elected MPs.
I am not talking about the formal procedure.
Yes.
I am talking about the conversations between yourself, the president, the party, about who do we put forward to the House. That's the conversation I'm talking about. That conversation has been had, I know.
The Speaker is elected by members of Parliament.
True.
All of us.
Right? But before the process begins,
I know
you would have talked about who to put forward to the House.
The president is the de facto leader of the party. He's the president, and as such, he would usually want to maybe look at the horizon to identify somebody that he thinks he could work with to get his bills and programs and projects passed through Parliament. I mean, we are all human, and that is done everywhere, right? So the president may have his own ideas, But we have not seriously sat down as of yet to have this discussion that you are.
But you've heard Jones Dotse.
I said I've heard. Yes.
You like him?
Well, he's a gentleman. He's a gentleman. And I think that quite an intelligent justice of the Supreme Court. And if you read his judgments, you know, quite erudite submissions, representations. So I think that he qualifies to be a Speaker of Parliament.
He'll be a fine speaker, won't he be?
I want to believe so, because he's deep. But you see, the Speaker's job is not just limited to one's death. You must also learn the rules. And Ajiti he came from our side, and the first 6 months, it wasn't easy for him, even though we all know Peter, the staff that he was made of.
Yeah.
It took him a while. The first 6 months was the first 2 meetings was difficult for him. But when he mastered the rules, it was always a joy to listen to. So if it should be Dotse, I believe he can rise to the occasion.
I personally have had calls myself. Some of you members of the party have been lobbying. And as you know, media people like ourselves, we get lobbied too, because you have to throw his name out there. So you will consider him. A few names have come up. Former Attorney General Yuko too, his name has come up as well.
Yeah.
People are, yourself had come up too. Is this something that you will consider?
Well, I equate to...
no, I'm talking about you, James Abonsu.
Well, I believe that if I have the opportunity, assuming the time is prime, I'll be able to rise to the occasion. I mean, I've seen it all here. And in terms of, administering the House, working with the rules of procedure, and my own appreciation and understanding of the Constitution, of the laws that we make. You see that oftentimes I'm not a lawyer, but I lead the discussion when we are making laws. It's because I have learned a lot, right? So I believe I could do that. But realistically, where we are now, I'm not too sure that the party would want to, go and have another by-election at Swami.
Because you have to let go.
Yes, because you want to, you have to climb upstairs to be the speaker.
Politically,
I'm not
Swami
sure
it's not a place that, it's a safe seat.
Oh, so it is.
It's not going to be
unquestionably. It is relatively a safe seat for MPP. But I'm saying that would the party risk that?
At 137, 137, it would be.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But of course, at 137, 137, if you have to be, if you have to be the pressing, right? The moment you are mentioned, right, you have to go outside. It means you can't participate in your own voting. That would mean that you are going to run short by one. I'm not sure the party will want to do that.
So that rules you out.
That may rule me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still not impossible.
It's still not impossible. I'm not sure that. I know people have. In the lead up to the elections, I went to so many places, and you go and people out there were telling you that we expect that you'll be the next Speaker of Parliament, right? Boldly. So it means that my happiness is that at least people have seen that we've been able to contribute our quota to our evolving democracy. And they see what we've been doing in the House, and they see the leadership role that I've been performing, and they acknowledge it and appreciate it. To me, that's my joy.
So you welcome it if the mantle falls on you?
I've told you that not in these circumstances.
Yeah, but I know the circumstances are difficult. But
yes.
James Abonsu definitely welcome it if it falls, nonetheless. If the big man behind you still decides, in spite of the challenges, I still want it.
You have to be voted for.
Yeah.
If the big man wants it, you have to be voted for.
You have one more. That means 137, 137 still.
137, 137 is and where does it, there's a tie, you can't bring the tie. Where's it going to end?
I want to take a break. When I return, I will talk about the election itself, the national picture. The his friends in the NDC are still fighting. They believe they won elections. They believe they still won parliament. I wonder what his view is on their approach so far. They've decided to hit the streets and protest. And they've shied away from telling us if they will go to court. Muntaka Mubarak told us on PM Express that he's one of those who believe the party sooner than later must go to court. But many disagree with him, he admits. I wonder what Chairman Sabonsu's views on that and its implications for our democracy. Stay with me. And thank you for still staying with us here on PM Express. And we are having a conversation with Mr. Che Mensah Bonsu. Mr. Mensah Bonsu, so the elections are over, except that your friends from the NDC, they dispute the outcome. They dispute the presidential outcome, and they dispute the parliamentary outcome. I mean, let's start with the parliamentary. They believe that they have the majority. In fact, they call into question to Chiman South, and that they believe they won it, and that your government used military to change the will of the people. What do you say to them?
The results are declared on the face of the pink sheets. Are they disputing what figures are, recorded on the pink sheets? Is that what they are disputing?
Yes, they said they put some pink sheets out that says that the totals were not reflected of that 12 votes that were cast.
The thing is, that they couldn't come out to say that they're going to go to court. Why? Because as late as last week, Friday, they still had emissaries in the countryside looking for their own pink sheets. So on what basis were they disputing the verdict? Mm. I mean, elections, serious business. Every political party must take it serious, right? I remember when they were doing the tallying in my own collation center, my colleague and opponent, Dodovi, was urging me to leave the place because I had won without any dispute. So why am I still there? I said, I have to be here until the final declaration is made. And he, Dodovi, was the first NDC candidate that I've seen who was at the collation center throughout.
In fact, Muntaka Mubarak confirmed it. He says part of their problem was they lacked diligence.
Absolutely.
And his own people.
I was happy that, and I was urging him that this is the first time you are contesting. If you have the opportunity to contest again, what you are doing, continue. Do that. You must be vigilant. Look, sometimes these people, they make mistakes unconsciously, right? They could make mistakes in the tallying. My own collation center, I had set up a collation center. I had 3 groups doing the tallying. When I went there, four of the pink sheets were not available. They had not yet brought them.
Your pink sheets?
Yes. Mm. But in doing the tallying, each group had a different figure. Mm. So I asked them to do it again. Whilst we went out to look for the 4 remaining pink sheets. When they did the second time, there was congruence in the numbers between 2 groups. The third one still had different figures. So I asked that, okay, let's go to the collation center to take the results from the pink sheets that the EC would have, so we know. In the meantime, please search, because I thought all the people that we called said they had submitted their pink sheets, and yet 4 could not be found. So they came to the EC, to the collation center, got it. By the time they went back, the people had seen the 4 missing in quotes pink sheets. So they brought them together, did the tallying. And this time around, they arrived at same figure, the 3 groups. Mm. Then they moved to the collation center. I had gone ahead to be there. The EC, doing their own collation, also had different figures, right? They had different figures from ours. So I insisted that they should do it again. So they called pink sheet by pink sheet with the presidential. When we finished, and we had congruence in the figures, because their figures then changed. And then we came to parliamentary. Their figures again changed. They realized that we had done a better job. So So that is what each one of them is supposed to do. It may not be deliberate. My own deputy returning officer, there are two deputy returning officers. One of them died in the Wool NDC. I don't care. I don't care because I know there's nothing he can do. He's a friend. He calls me on a daily basis. And I relate to him. Initially, he wanted to hide his own political party coloration from me. I got to know. I tolerate him. I see him sometimes. A few cities change hands.
I mean, you have the pink sheet. The thing currently has. So maybe there's about.
So that's what you should do. And on the face of the pink sheet, this is what is the record. So I'm surprised they are saying that they dispute it. I don't know whether they've gone to manufacture a different pink sheet.
At the presidential level, they have similar concerns. They haven't gone to court yet. They are protesting on the streets. It was in
because they are now still looking for their pink sheets. They don't have them.
They are doing an audit.
They don't have the totality of their.
They say they are doing an audit.
I'm saying they don't have the full complement of their pink sheets. I can tell you that on authority.
How do you know that?
I know that. I communicate with many of them. And some of them will tell me that this pink sheet, we still don't have it. I still don't have 2. I still don't have 5. They don't have the full complement.
Over the weekend, there was a protest in the Ashanti region. They've done it across the country. In fact, last week, 110, very violent. What's your view on that approach?
I think it's very pedestrian, and as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exhibit seriousness on the part of their leadership. Why? We've gone through this before. In 2012, when we felt cheated, remember our supporters marched up at Abrantes Sport, right?
Yeah.
We then had to come and have a crisis meeting at Aliza. It was taking quite a bit of time. And some of them left that place and marched to Aliza, banging doors to stop us. That, look, we have been cheated out and you people have locked yourselves up in a room here. What should we do? We want to hit the streets. We had to conclude our meeting quickly. And then we all moved to Abrantes Sport. And the presidential candidate addressed them. The party chairman addressed them. He said, look, we can't win the battle going on demonstration. If there's anything, we have to check the record on the face of the pink sheets, and the party intends to go to court. That's what we did. That's the difference between mature leadership and what the NDC is doing now. The courts are open. Even if you are not through with your pink sheets, you want to go to court, you can go, and further perhaps later amend your records. What's wrong with that? But to be leading people into this, look, yesterday I was in my constituency, and I don't know what is becoming of us, because these things that they are doing emboldening some people to do what is dastardly. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has a constituency polling station youth organizer in his constituency. The guy's mother's house is at Swami. So in the lead up to the elections, he was coming to Swami to canvass for the party. Last week, his own uncle, his blood uncle, his mother's brother, in the house, said that the guy apparently had hanged my poster, Kufuor's poster, and Napo's poster there. He went out, came back, and those posters had been removed. And the house had been festooned in NDC colors. Say, hey, why should anybody come and remove what I believe in? We believe in NDC and want to associate with it. Fine. I'm not challenging you. I'm not, disputing your right to join NDC. But I'm here. Why should anybody come and do this? I understand. He entered his room. The uncle heard him, and then drafter rushed to bang at his door. If he's a man, he should come out. He will see what we do to him. The people there restrained the guy from coming out because they saw the man was holding a knife, threatening the whole time, inspired by what the NDC had been doing. The guy was prevailed upon not to open the door, but the uncle then brought 2 children to join him, making noise. The guy then called a mother from Alaba The mother comes at dawn. When the mother came, the man was still making noise in the house. And when the guy realized his mother had come to the house, he thought at the time he was safe, plus a sister. So he then opened the door, not knowing that the man was still there. The man rushed on him, stabbed him in the neck 3 times. One here, the other to the left of the head, and stabbed his chest. The guy died instantly.
This was just yesterday, you're saying? This was over the
weekend? It was over the weekend. So yesterday when I went there. They were performing their door. I think yesterday was the 3rd day. Because my youth organizer reported to me, and I had to give some money to them for them to follow up with the police and the hospital, what had to be done and so on. This is bestiality. And what you are doing, you are emboldening people to take the law into their own hands. The courts are there. And I just want to believe that the presidential candidate will have to stamp his authority. Even if you did that once to appease supporters, now you should do what is right. Akufo-Addo lost to President Mills the first round in 2008. Akufo-Addo won, but he didn't get the requisite number. He then required 23,000. He couldn't to have won outright. He didn't get it, so he didn't win. There was a second round. And then President Mills then came to beat him by 27,000. With this, we had to wait for time. Time came on board, and Mills then won eventually by 40,000 votes. We conceded. 40,000, we conceded. Somebody has beaten you by over 500,000. You say you have won. And yet you have no pin sheet to show. I mean, let's be realistic. When President Mills won, he won. Yes, the Constitution requires of you to win by 50% plus 1. Anything beyond 50%, so plus 1 vote will qualify you. He won by 50.07% against Akufo-Addo. Nobody protested. President Mahama, when you won in 2012, which matter went to the court. We had 122 seats in parliament. At the time, they had 149 initially, right? And yet, the 122 votes outnumbered the 149 seats that we garnered, outnumbered the 149, which is why we saw there was something wrong. He said he had beaten Akufo-Addo by 300,000, which translated into 50.6%. Akufo-Addo conceded. This one is 51.69, almost 51.7. You don't want to concede?
Well, as we wrap up, just a couple of questions. So you're currently the majority leader. Is that a position you still want to hold next year?
It depends on the party.
Okay.
Honestly,
Are you tired?
I thought I've had enough. 8 years as minority leader, and then 4 years as majority leader. Especially given the circumstances of the hugeness of the ministers and deputy ministers that we had, and always you having to resort to, consensus building and so on and so forth. I thought I'd been really drained leading the party in parliament. So I really wanted to take some other responsibilities. But so many people are not comfortable with my leaving, given the circumstances of these times. But I'll leave that to the party to make.
Whether they still want you. If they want you, you stay.
If the party wants, you to assist in a bigger way, because as you said, the next parliament is going to be really challenging, and it will call for a lot of tact and consensus building. Fortunately for me, I've started this long ago with the meetings that I've been having with colleagues in leadership, sometimes the expanded leadership, bringing them to bear on the bills that we do and so on. So at every turn, this consultation has been going on. I think that is bringing us together. Some people think that, oh, but at almost parity, it's going to be difficult for the president to rule. I don't think so. In 2012, when we were canvassing for the president to be declared the winner, when we went to court, right? Our seats were much lower, 122 against 149. Later, there was a by-election that they won. And then I think there were 3 or 4 other people who joined them, right? And yet with the 122, if the president had become president, we're hoping to be able to...
So you think you govern fine with the one?
It's because I think now, with the numbers at near parity, we need now to build consensus.
Are you the man who can
on
build
major
a consensus in Parliament?
issues? I try to do that. That's what I try to do. That's my stock in trade.
But I get a sense
and I get the impression that it will deepen our democracy. If you have a government that doesn't have, a commanding lead in numbers in Parliament, the government itself, the president itself, would be forced to be very consultative. As I'm saying, he's going to contribute greatly to add value to our democracy.
Thankfully, he said that himself in his acceptance speech, that Parliament needs to talk more. So in other words, this is good for our democracy?
This is good for our democracy.
Ordinarily, if the party doesn't choose you again, you're happy to leave the stage, because I think you say you're tired.
Really,
to do something else?
Yes, I thought I would have the opportunity to go and do something outside Parliament. As a fully fledged, with fully fledged ministerial responsibilities, right? But as I said, that decision
lies with the man behind you.
Come again?
Lies with the man behind you.
It lies with the man whose image is behind me. And the party it is the greater interest of the party.
Yeah.
That should be paramount, not your personal...
Foreign minister?
It depends on what the president has.
You must have a preference.
It depends on
You've
what
earned the right to suggest something.
But first of all, I don't see any of the ministries that's going to be challenging to me, apart from Attorney General.
Which you obviously don't qualify to.
Yes, I'm saying.
Because you specified the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Attorney General is not a minister anyway, but I can be a Minister of Justice.
Yeah.
Except that if I'm not a Minister of, if I'm a Minister of Justice,
both, so.
They always combine both. But the Constitution does not necessarily make it so. I think that this arrangement is really going to test government.
Are you looking forward to it?
And I'm looking forward to it. You see, those days when people ask me, even with our numbers at 122, I said I was looking forward to the president being declared the winner by the Supreme Court. That's going to be very challenging for ourselves, for this country. You see, look, an opposition party can decide to be consensual, to be part of consensus building, or turn it back to say that, look, I'll not cooperate with you on anything. In that regard, too soon people will come to see that you're just there to frustrate government business. And that will not be good for the image of that party.
Yeah. And the people might punish you in the end.
The people might punish you for that, that you are a sheer obstructionist, right? So I think that with goodwill on all sides, and we have good working relations with all of them in leadership, and I know even their own leadership, I don't know the direction, because I've heard that people are also lobbying to replace the minority leader and so on, and also other leaders in their front bench. But that's for them to decide. It's not for me to even comment on.
I'm sure others are lobbying to replace you too.
Well, that's human. It's human nature, human institution. Some people may think that if he had the opportunity, he'd be able to do better than you can do. That's the thinking of the person.
But was a Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you.
Okay.
Same to you.
Enjoy the rest of your...
and Merry Christmas to all your listeners as well.
And viewers
and let the season of Christmas reconcile us as a nation. That's the essence of the birth of Jesus Christ. So that into the next year, as a champion used to say, let's not forget that we are still one people in one country, same country with a common destiny. So let's not drive this country to the brink. We don't need that. If you don't win today, you may win tomorrow. So Once again, Merry Christmas to your viewers and our viewers and our cherished Ghanaian citizens.
Best of the season to you. Thank you very much for watching us. Enjoy the rest of your evening.